Everyone said the liquid of unknown origin was from the Department of Science, but Sarah refused to believe it. She downed the drink she'd found in one gulp, and sure enough, her body underwent a terrifying mutation. A long, thin porcelain stalk sprouted from her elbow. Terrified, she quickly cut it off, but the next second, countless sharp spikes sprouted from her palm, and her body involuntarily climbed the wall. All of this was related to the bottle of potion she had drunk. It turned out that in the distant year of 2026, Earth's air was filled with toxins. For humanity to survive, besides wearing gas masks at all times, they also had to take a daily supplement. A special antidote was needed, but this drug was extremely expensive, unaffordable for ordinary people in the long term, ultimately leading to their deaths in despair. To challenge the pharmaceutical company's exorbitant prices, an underground organization secretly began researching generic drugs and achieved a major breakthrough. However, the risks of the new drug were unavoidable, so the leader Cine decided to take the drug himself. Unfortunately, this scene was witnessed by Sarah's boyfriend Brad, who mistook it for some kind of valuable supplement. Brad stole the entire bottle of potion when no one was looking. Just as he was about to give it to his new lover to try, Sarah bumped into him and discovered her boyfriend and best friend were having an affair. Sarah was furious. Caught red-handed, the scumbag simply stopped pretending and left the scene with a straight face, leaving the potion behind. In a fit of anger, Sarah drank the potion in one gulp, thinking it was just ordinary alcohol. The next second, her stomach churned violently, and she couldn't help but vomit. Thinking it was just an overdose, she struggled to the bathroom. She wanted to soak in the water to calm down, but little did she know that with the rapid spread of the drug, her body was facing a dramatic change. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Brad was chased to the bathroom by several of Cane's men for stealing the potion. Terrified, Sarah quickly hid in the water. Through their conversation, she learned that the potion she had drunk was something very important to them. Therefore, she was exceptionally ruthless towards the scumbag. Upon learning that someone from the party had taken the potion, Cine immediately ordered a search of the entire house. As soon as the men left, Sarah emerged from the bathtub and told Brad that she had drunk the potion. Brad was indeed a scumbag. To protect himself, he immediately went to tell Cine, locking the bathroom door behind him before leaving. Who knew? Several people were summoned, but the room was empty. Feeling tricked, they instantly turned vicious and beat Brad. They then went outside to search for him, knowing that the person who had taken the drug would exhibit unusual reactions. After the group left, Brad discovered that his girlfriend was hiding in the ceiling above him. Upon landing, he found Sarah hadn't left, but the door was locked. In desperation, he punched the lock, smashing it through, leaving the scumbag completely dumbfounded at her strength. But after they went out, he found that Cane's men were still waiting downstairs. Sarah could only go back to the bathroom and found him trying to break the skylight. Brad thought he was overestimating himself. Unexpectedly, she managed to break the reinforced glass a few meters away with a few blows, but the noise also attracted the men downstairs. After Sarah and Brad climbed onto the roof, the men chased after them. In their panic, Brad slipped and fell 5 meters from the roof. Seeing the men closing in, Sarah had no choice but to jump after him. Surprisingly, she landed lightly, completely unharmed, while Brad was already dead from the fall. Not caring about anything else, she rushed to the road to flag down a car to escape, but the drug took effect, and she passed out. Fortunately, a driver rescued her and put her in his car. However, upon arriving home and seeing the unconscious girl, the man's wicked thoughts resurfaced. Just as he was about to make a move, she woke up and forcefully pushed the man away, accidentally cutting him in the process. Sarah then discovered a thorn growing from her elbow. She rushed to the bathroom to check and found that not only her elbow, but even her skin had multiple ulcers and scales. Terrified, she quickly removed them and rushed to the hospital for help. However, the hospital was full of dying poison patients, and no one paid her any attention. Left with no other choice, Sarah removed her mask. When the doctor saw her mutated appearance, he was shocked and immediately called security to isolate her. But Sarah didn't want to be taken away, and amidst the pursuit of security guards, she frantically ran into the isolation ward. Unexpectedly, with just a thought, countless tendrils sprouted from her hands, allowing her to climb the wall without hesitation and escape the guards. Upon learning about the mutated woman, Cine couldn't bear it any longer and wanted to find her. After leaving the hospital, Sarah's mutation worsened. Her transformation at the hospital successfully attracted the attention of the police. In exchange for the antidote, the sheriff sold this information to the owner of a pharmaceutical company, Mr. Sterling. Desperate, Sarah sought help from Cine for the antidote, only to be unexpectedly drugged and knocked unconscious from behind. When she awoke, she discovered she had been kidnapped. However, now that she was a mutant, she was no ordinary person. With just a thought, a thorn grew from her arm. After easily freeing herself from her restraints, Sarah didn't immediately run away. Instead, she went straight to the raw meat on the table and began to wolf it down. Just as she was replenishing her strength, Cine and his men rushed in. Seeing the changes in Sarah's body, he was astonished and eagerly wanted to help. However, Sarah no longer trusted him and immediately spat a mouthful of scalding hot pot onto his man. The police suddenly burst in, and Cine was arrested on the spot. Sarah was also implicated and taken back to prison. In prison, her physical mutation worsened, and she even grew a pair of insect-like ears. To protect herself, Sarah didn't tell the police about the mutation, but instead covered it with a hat. Little did she know that the police had sold this information to Mr. Sterling the moment she was arrested. Soon, Mr. Sterling arrived at the prison. When he saw Sarah's strange appearance, he tried his best to suppress his excitement and lied that he could cure the mutation. Sarah thought she had met a savior and agreed to go with him without thinking. After returning to the company's lab, Mr. Sterling conducted a full-body scan on Sarah. The results were astonishing. Her genes had undergone a significant mutation. Not only was she alive, but she also possessed the ability to neutralize airborne toxins. This made Mr. Sterling realize that the generic drug developed by Cine was effective. Conversely, his own company's products had developed resistance. The emergence of a new drug was an urgent matter, so he immediately went to the basement. Mr. Sterling tried to force Cine to reveal the formula for the new drug, but no matter how much he assaulted him, Cine refused to speak. He knew that once the formula was monopolized, no matter how ineffective the new drug was, ordinary people would still face the fate of not being able to afford it. Seeing that he couldn't get an answer from Kane, Mr. Sterling decided to trick the girl. He relentlessly smeared Kane's name, then tricked Sarah into believing that by cooperating, everyone in the world could be saved. The kind-hearted Sarah believed him and signed the agreement without hesitation. But when she woke up again, she found herself locked in a soundproof laboratory. Mr. Sterling was ordering a large amount of air poison injected into the net, solely to extract the antibodies from her body. Since Sarah had signed and agreed, he wouldn't be held legally responsible. Unexpectedly, his shameless words were clearly heard by the mutated Sarah. She instantly flew into a rage, pounding on the glass. Realizing his plan had been exposed, Mr. Sterling quickly released a large amount of sedatives, knocking her unconscious. Shortly afterward, 2 staff members entered the room prepared to inject the unconscious girl with poison. However, to everyone's surprise, she had already woken up and cut her restraints. She easily dealt with the 2 men and escaped the room. Using an incredible sense of perception, she found the cell where Kane was being held. Unexpectedly, a patrolling guard approached, but Sarah silently appeared from behind and took him out. She then confronted Kane, demanding an explanation. Seeing that in less than a day, the girl's form was increasingly resembling a dragonfly, Kane had his answer. He retrieved the last remaining dose of the drug from the lab and showed it to Sarah. It turned out the core ingredient of the drug came from a type of dragonfly, the only species on Earth unaffected by toxins. Unexpectedly, Sarah had accidentally taken the entire bottle of the drug. The side effect was mutation. But compared to her life, what did mutation matter? For a moment, Sarah couldn't accept her own perspective. After all, she was the one who would become a monster. But no matter what, she had to escape first. She temporarily reconciled with Kane, and they escaped from the company headquarters together. But after only a few steps, they were blocked by a fence. Time was of the essence, so Sarah quickly rolled up her sleeves and easily slid the iron fence aside with her elbows. Seeing the enemy forces closing in, the 2 dared not stop, running wildly along the highway until they reached a bridge. Kane could no longer hold on. To preserve the flame, he entrusted his remaining tasks to Sarah, asking her to complete the production of the new drug in his place, for it was humanity's last hope. Kane's selfless act completely dispelled Sarah's previous doubts. Without hesitation, he jumped into the abyss to distract the enemies. After escaping, Sarah fully evolved. Influenced by his success story, more and more people bravely drank the new drug, joining Sarah in facing a future filled with surprises and unknown viruses.